Hello YouTube, in today's video I'm going to tell you how to maintain the most amount of gains after coming off steroids. And yes, I mean completely off, so not stay on TRT or on cruise or start blasting NK677 or SARMs instead, but go completely from steroids back to natural. And what should you do in order to maintain the most amount of muscle that you've gained during the steroid cycle? So just before we start, I want to mention that just recently I filmed a video where I explained why I'm not a fan of on and off cycling, and why do I think that in most cases blasting and cruising or TRT are the more suitable approaches. But I also said that there are some exceptions where cycling makes sense, and if you're interested in this, I suggest you go watch the previous video first, because they are closely correlated together, so it will help you for the better understanding of this one. But anyways, let's get to our topic. So how to maintain the most amount of gains after coming off steroids. And just before I start telling you what to do, I want you to understand that probably in any case you will lose some muscle after coming off steroids. No matter how hard you try to keep your gains, you will lose some. But if you play your cards correctly, and if you didn't go too far beyond your natural genetic potential while using steroids, you should be able to maintain quite a lot of gains even when coming off steroids. Now, let's get straight into it. So first thing that you should do, that is really important, that will really determine how much gains you are going to keep after cycle, is you need to do a post-cycle therapy, so PCT. Now, I won't tell you how to do a PCT and give you the exact protocol, because that is a topic for another video, but just in short, you should have some HCG, so that's human chorionic gonadotropin by hand, and also some selective estrogen receptor modulator of choice, like for example clomiphene or Nolvadex. And basically you just need to do a protocol with these drugs, so you return your testosterone levels back to normal and get out of this hypogonadal state as soon as possible, because after you've done a steroid cycle, after you come off, your natural testosterone production is literally zero, because steroids shut you down, right? And after you come off steroids, your testicles are slowly starting to wake up and start producing natural testosterone again. But this process can be quite long lasting, so that's why you should do a PCT, so you speed up this process and get yourself out of hypogonadal states as soon as possible, because being hypogonadal, which means that you have too low testosterone levels under the range of normal, is first very bad for your health, and second, you just gonna lose gains, because now you're androgen deficient. So that means that you have less steroids present in your system now than you had before starting the steroid cycle, because of the shutdown. So that's why you need to do a PCT, so you get your testosterone levels back to normal as soon as possible. How fast you manage to recover your natural testosterone production and to what degree you manage to recover it will definitely play a big role on how many gains you'll be able to keep. Now, moving on to second thing that you should do in order to keep the most amount of gain possible is you should eat either on a maintenance or in a slight caloric surplus, even better. So you definitely don't want to get off steroids and start cutting. That is a big no-no. Like, by doing that, you'll definitely lose a lot more gains than if you were to eat either on maintenance or in a slight caloric surplus. Now, again, you shouldn't go in too big of a calorie surplus, because now your metabolism and insulin sensitivity are not as good as they were on steroids. So if you're going to eat in too big of a calorie surplus, you're just gonna get fat, and you will accumulate too much fat tissue that you will need to lose later on, right? So we don't want that. But what you should do is eat in a slight calorie surplus, like I'm saying 200, 300 calories, something like that, just so you are signaling to your body, hey, maintain the weight, don't lose the weight. Because if you just go off and go on a deficit, you'll just burn out your muscles. Because dieting in hypogonadal androgen deficient state will definitely result in a lot of muscle loss. So you at least should wait for your natural testosterone level to go back to normal, where it was before, and then maybe you can do a deficit. But first few weeks after coming off cycle, definitely don't consider doing any kind of calorie deficit, because otherwise you're gonna lose the gains. Moving on to the third thing, which is training related, and that is that you should keep training hard, and you should aim to maintain as much strength as you possibly can. So yes, you will definitely lose some strength after coming off steroids, yes. And you will also probably need to lower your training volume a little bit, because now your recovery is greatly impaired, right? So you are not able to handle as many sets as you were able to while you were doing steroids. but at least try to maintain the strength, as much strength as you can on your compound movements, like things like deadlift, squat, barbell row, bench press and stuff like that. So you provide that stimulus to maintain the muscles, right? Because if you just go off cycle and get unmotivated to train and stop going to the gym, you'll definitely lose a lot of gains. But if you keep training, if you keep pushing hard, right, you will signal to your body, hey, we still need those muscles, so try to maintain as much as possible. And then the fourth thing are basically all the lifestyle related things, like to say testosterone boosting healthy lifestyle approaches. Like for example, your sleep. You should definitely make sure that you're not lacking on sleep, that you're getting enough sleep, that you're getting good quality sleep, so definitely work on that. Then for example, your stress. I know it's hard, it's easier said than done, I can just say, just don't stress, right? Because that's impossible, but at least you should work on it. You should work on your stress management, and you should try not to be stressed all the time. Then for example, what else? Like avoiding things like junk food, alcohol, cigarettes, and other stuff that can directly harm your gains, for example. Training on a regular basis. Then for example, making sure that your testosterone, natural testosterone, is as optimal as possible. Maybe even taking some natural over-the-counter testosterone boosting supplements. And just like simple things like that you can do in your everyday life in order to contribute to you getting more gains, right? Because when you're natural, like all these different things can greatly impair your gains. Like for example, if you lack on sleep, if you only sleep 3 hours per night instead of 7, for example, you'll produce much less testosterone. Therefore, with lower testosterone levels, you won't be able to have as much muscle, for example. Or things like drinking alcohol on a regular basis, eating junk food. All this stuff can greatly impair your natural testosterone production, not just testosterone, but also your insulin sensitivity, your growth hormone, right? So when you have like poor insulin sensitivity, low testosterone, low GH, no wonders you will start to lose gains and you won't look muscular. But if you work on optimizing those things, if you work on optimizing your natural testosterone production, if you work on optimizing your insulin sensitivity, on your recovery by sleeping enough, but by not stressing that much, right? If you work on optimizing your growth hormone production, natural growth hormone production, then all these things will have a big impact, right? So that's pretty much it for today's video. To conclude on short, things that you should do in order to maintain the most amount of gains after coming off steroids. First thing, you should do a proper PCT, so you return your natural testosterone production back to normal and optimal range as soon as possible. Second thing, you should is eat in a slight caloric surplus, so you definitely don't diet right after coming off from steroids. Third thing, you train for strength. You aim to maintain as much strength as you possibly can, and you keep pushing yourself hard in the gym, just like you were pushing yourself while you were on steroids. And fourth thing, all the lifestyle things that I just mentioned right now. Like always, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment to support the channel's growth. Again, if you need online coaching or maybe a consultation with me, hit me up in DMs on Instagram. And see you in next video.